Hey everyone, welcome. I am Stephen Shade and I'm here to show you how to draw house plans for a living, or at least a part-time gig. I currently draw about 5 to 10 house plans a year, and I make about $10,000 on the side. So today I got an order from a client that he wants a detached garage. And so what I like to do is I like to pull up old drawings that I have and use them as a reference. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first go and activate all the layers. Now, as a reminder, I'm using TurboCAD for my drawings. There's a link in the group that shows you which software exactly I use. It comes to about $500, or maybe about $600 if you add in the extras, tax and all that. Now, the great thing about it is it's a one-time fee. It's not like AutoCAD and some of those other big brands where you're paying annually for the software. So let's see. I'm just waiting patiently here for this thing to load. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to activate all the layers, and then I'm going to move this old garage out of the way, and I'm going to start drawing the new garage. Alright. And all these layers you can create on your own, and these are just some of the layers I use pretty consistently, so they end up here. And some of these are kind of dead or old layers from past projects, like this one for bollards. I won't necessarily need that for this project, but I just leave it in there. Alright, so I'm going to scroll out to get all this. Use the space bar to get my select tool. I'm going to drag from the left to the right and highlight all this stuff. So notice it shows the layers here on the left that are highlighted. I'm going to zoom out some more. These are some of my details and things that I'll be adding in later. There's an old house that I used. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag this over here out of the way in case I want to use it, or any of the parts of it. And then I'm going to highlight this house, and I'm actually going to delete it because all those extra parts and things are just going to bog down this file and slow down everything. I'm also going to come over here and select the elevations. You know, I'm just going to leave them. Alright, so here is the 0 axis right here. That's Y, X, Z axis. And I'm going to start with the walls. Now, this particular gentleman wants 8-foot walls, so I'm going to use the wall button over here. Now, notice I've set up my tools specifically here, customize them. They don't come like that inside TurboCAD. I notice I still have all these layers highlighted, so I'm going to pick the one I want as exterior walls. Exterior walls are here. I'm going to click this check box, and I'm going to click here. Now, I'm going to zoom in as close as I can to see if I can get as close as I can to that axis here, and I'm going to click and drag. Now, notice the wall. I want the wall to be on this side, up here, not down below. So I'm actually going to press escape and come and click on the walls here, right click, and I'm going to go to wall, and I'm going to move it to the right. Click OK. Now I'm going to try it again and get that started right as close as I can to the axis here. I can even zoom in further. Alright, it's close enough. Alright, I'm going to zoom back out. Now this particular wall here is 6 foot, so I'm actually going to use the tab key here, and I'm going to make it 6 foot, and I'm going to put it to 0 angle, and I'm going to tab through the rest of this house, hopefully, best I can. This next wall here is also going to be 6 foot, and I'm just basing this off of a sketch that I got from the client, and that's basically the easiest way to do it. Okay, so this wall here is going to be 18 feet. Yep. Now sometimes you have to count the width of the wall itself, which is 2x4 walls, should be 3.5 inches. I'm gonna have to double check because these are supposed to be 2x4 walls, and I don't know if they are. defaulted to that, so I'll have to go and check that real quick. Now this is supposed to be 1.5 feet here. Now I'm just tabbing through here on the bottom left. You'll see the length and the angle, and that's how I'm getting the walls the way I want them. Okay, now I'm done with that part of the wall. I'm going to escape, press the space bar to get my select tool again. I want to highlight that wall and go to the properties by right clicking on it, and I'm going to see here what the thickness of this wall is. Okay, I got a 2x6 wall here, so I'm going to switch it to 2x4 wall. I should have done it earlier. And then the height of the wall is too high. He wants 8-foot plate, 8-foot walls. So I'm going to change those. So you see how it shrinks it? Okay. So now here's the garage door. So I'm going to use a line right here, and I'm going to zoom in just a little, and I'm going to press V here on the vertex, and it'll start my line at the vertex. I'm going to come straight up. I want to go 9 feet, and at a 90-degree angle, click enter. Okay, so there's my line. Now I can continue with my walls and wrap them around. So I'm going to go back to my walls. Now I need to change the default wall, because the default wall was 2x6 and it was 10 feet high. So I'm going to change that. Now, okay, again, I'm going to press the V here to get to the end of the vertex. Uh-oh, I'm still on the line tool. All right, let's go back, click on the wall tool, and do the same thing. Here we go, V. I continue up. Now, this side of the wall is going to be 1.5 feet again. And then this wall here is supposed to be 24 feet. Oops. Okay. I forgot to press tab. And it's 180 degrees. Now, this should be a straight line up and down. So I did it right. 6 plus 18, 24. Yeah, it should line up. Let's see. So I'm going to tab it over. It should be 18 feet. And it should be a 270-degree angle. It should line up. Yeah, I'll zoom out. Now, with AutoCAD, it's got this little auto-correct feature there, so it automatically corrected that. Now, here we're going to put in another wall just across here. So let's see, is it a right side wall? Yeah, right side wall is good. Now just come out here to the edge and float your mouse up there. Don't worry too much about the length. Just make sure the angle's right. 180. Press enter. Alright, so now we got our walls and our garage door. We're going to put in an entry-exit door into the storage area. And he didn't draw one. He didn't give me one on his sketch into the garage, but I'm going to put one there and see what he says. And then I'm also going to put in a couple posts out here for the porch, because this is the porch. Now the way he's got it drawn, well, later we're going to do the roof and stuff, but he's got the roof. He's not going to use trusses, so this is going to be the peak right here, and he's going to have rafters instead of trusses, and the rafters are going to come and lay on top of this wall. And so this wall particularly is actually going to be a little higher. I think he put it up at 18 feet. So I'm going to start off with this wall being higher. So I'm going to use my left select tool to drag to the left. So this is only going to highlight everything that is included in my square. And I can then right click on those two walls, this little piece and that little piece, and I can change the height. I think he said he wanted it to be 18 feet. I may end up changing that. Alright. Okay, so this plan, because that one wall there is going to be like 18 feet, and he's using rafters, I may need to have an engineer look at this, which is going to cost him an extra $1,000. Now, if he switched to trusses, then the truss guy will engineer the trusses, and we wouldn't have to hire an engineer. So I'll run that by the client and see what he says and which direction we're going to have to take. In the meantime, let's put in those doors. We're going to go here to the door button here, the bottom right. It's funny, the architect tools, there's only a few of them: windows, doors, and walls. You don't really need a lot of them. Okay, so the door main here, we're going to make sure it's 3 foot, and the standard 6'8" height. Okay, that's good. So we're going to go ahead and bring this in here. Now he's got it centered on his drawing or his sketch, so I'm going to center it right there, just like that. And this one here, I'm going to put it next to this wall over here, and I'm going to keep it 3 inches from that wall. So that's 3 inches plus 3.5 is 6.5. That way there's a little bit of room for 2x4s and for framing it in and for the trim of the door. So put 3 inches there. Alright, so that is my sketch. Let's see, I'm going to put in a couple posts in here. Start one on the corner. So let's line up the posts. I'm going to use this line tool to help me figure out where this post needs to be. I'm going to do V to get the vertex here. And I'm going to come down 6 feet because that's how big that wall is. And I'm going to make sure it's at a 270-degree angle. And that's going to be the corner right there. Now this should line up. If I press V here and V here, it should be 180 degrees. Yeah, it's perfect. So now the posts are going to be 2x6 posts. So I'm going to put a little V right here, press V at the end of that vertex, and I'm going to come up and do 5.5 by 5.5 inches here. So 5.5 inches, 5.5 inches, enter. Cool. So now I can delete my spacer line just because I don't need it anymore. It just helped me find where I'm supposed to be. Now this space here is 18 feet. So 18 feet, let's see, 6 feet would be good. There'd be 3 posts every 6 feet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this copy button here, move that out of the way. Okay, we're going to use this copy function right here. I'll highlight the post, use the copy function, and I'm going to move it with the delta function here. I'm going to move it on the x-axis here, -6 feet. And what I'll do is I'll make a copy of it -6 feet away. So now I'm going to put 6 feet right here, press and negative, and it'll jump over here with a copy. And I'm going to do one more copy of that, -6 feet. And this one here then should be just about 6 foot difference. There's going to be a little bit of a change because of the There'll be a little bit of difference because of the thickness of the wood. Alright, so let's just find out what the distances are here if we like it. So I'm going to press V. I'm going to use this distance tool here. Press V at the vertex here on that wall. And press V here. Okay, yeah, so that distance is a little bit shorter. This one's the same. This one's the same. Okay, good. So then they're all evenly spaced, which is nice. Alright. And then I'm going to do another one of the total distance here. And then I'm going to do another one of the total distance. Now all my distances here, actually I'm going to actually use a right drag this time. Highlight, or just touch each of these measurement tools. And look, they ended up in the site plan. So I don't want them on the site plan. I want these to be on the framing details, framer plan notes or framing, so that way we know the measurements of the framing. I'm going to keep drawing some more on here. So notice I clicked on the right one, so it's in the right place next time. Okay, so again I'm going to find the distance between, and then I'm going to come to the outside. Oops. Try again. And remember where I'm just pressing the V here, the character V on the keyboard, to get the edge of those objects. Oops. You notice I just press escape if it's not working the way I wanted it to. Just drop some lines in here, or some distances in here, so that way the client has an idea of where. Oh, something's wrong there. Let's try again. I zoomed in a little, make sure I can get the right spot. There we go. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Draw some different lines in here. All right, so there's a nice little garage. That's a sketch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to print this out so that he can take it and take a look at it, give me the approval, and then I'll go to the next steps. Okay, so first, this again is the model space. This is where you draw everything. And in order to print it out, you have to have a paper space. So each of these other things down here at the bottom are all paper spaces. So here's one of just like drafts, these paper ones. These are just drafts. Now these are the actual like blueprint sheets right here, each of the 7 that I do. Now right here, we're going to start with the paper one. And this is okay, it's a vertical. I'd rather have it be horizontal, so let's see if there's one that's horizontal. Not that one. Not that one. But notice how this one wall is higher. This is 18 feet too high. So I'm going to do some math on that. This is isometric view of it. I'm going to do some math on that and make sure the pitch of that roof's 412 on this side, and this side is going to be steeper. Okay, so we're going to go back to this first paper space, and I'm going to turn this piece of paper over by going to properties here on the paper space, paper properties, and then I'm going to tell it to, let's see, where's it at? Print styles, page set up. Here we go. Portrait. I want it to be landscape. I want this to be landscape. And I'll click OK. Okay, so now here we go. So now the printable area and the paper space is that size. Now, luckily, there's already a pre-existing viewport. Now, the viewport is basically a picture of the model space. And because this is a pre-existing plan, it's already got a pre-existing viewport. But notice how the doors didn't show up. That's because the doors were not on the, aren't selected inside of one of the views, or one of the layers over here. Now, oops, I moved something. Let's see if I can undo that. I don't know what I did. I definitely broke something. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the properties of this viewport. I don't know if you guys can see these property windows when they pop up. But you just have to believe me here. I'm going to try to show you, or try to at least talk your way through it. Alright, so here's the viewport, and I'm going to see if I can find the doors. See, right now I got beams. I got exterior walls. I got a foundation. Framer plan notes and the framing. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go back to the papers, the model space. I'm going to click on one of the doors, and it's going to tell me where it's at. It's in the 0 space. Okay, so I'm going to move those to the exterior walls, and in this one, I'm going to move to the interior walls. And this little wall right here on the inside, I'm going to move that to interior walls. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to go back to the paper space. And notice how the interior walls disappeared and the door showed up. So I need to go into the properties again, which I apologize you can't see. There's a little tab called viewport. I click on the viewport, and then there's a list of the layers inside that tab. I can just go through and click on the layers I want to view. So I'm going to find the interior walls one. There we go. There it is. Now watch, it'll show up. Boom. Okay. Now this right now, this is a certain scale. Like, because we're lurking in the paper space now, it's showing the scale of the drawing. So what we're going to do is change the scale to make this big as the piece of paper. Alright? So right now it's locked. The scale is locked on 1 to 54. So I'm going to change that to 1 to 45. See if it gets much bigger. A little bit bigger. Let's move this up here and make this viewport bigger. And let's try that again. So go back to 1 to 35. Let's see what that does. Okay, that's probably big enough. Get this up in here. Perfect. Alright, now it's nice and big. It's on an 8 by 11 piece of paper, so you can print this out and see it. and then we'll go from there. Now, I just noticed that the posts didn't show up and the garage door didn't show up. So let's go back to the paper space, or the model space, I'm sorry, and we're going to highlight those posts by the left click so that the numbers for the measurements don't show up, just the posts. They're in roof plan notes right now. We need to move those to exterior walls. And the same with the door, garage door. I'm gonna put that under, I could put it under doors and windows, or I could just put it exterior walls. Alright, so let's go back to the paper space and see if they show up. There they are. Okay, now I probably should draw a sidewalk or enclosed in here. So let's go and do that. I'm going to use this rectangle. And I try to use a rectangle because I want it to be like the foundation porch, so I could just erase it if I want. So I'm going to click here V at the corner of that post, and I'm going to click here V at the corner of this garage, and that pops in a square there. It's probably going to be roof plan notes. Yep, and I'm going to put that down as foundation. So that way it now shows up into the foundation. Okay, great. Now, this is probably good enough for him to get an idea of what he wants and to show him that I understand, and then get approval to go to the next stage. So go back to the paper space, and I'm going to print this out. Now, in TurboCAD, the printing into a PDF is kind of awkward. I had to download a piece of software called Primo PDF. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to click on the print key here. I'm going to make sure it's on Primo PDF. It's a software that mimics a printer. And I'm going to go to Properties. I'm going to click Black and White. Go to Advanced. Make sure it's on Letter. Click OK. Click OK. I'm going to go to Page Setup. And this is a glitch. I've noticed sometimes if you don't go into here and make sure this is set up properly, and it doesn't print properly. Make sure this is 1:1. Click OK. Now I'm going to click OK again, and it'll bring up the Primo PDF menu. Now you guys probably can't see this because of the way the Facebook Live is, but I'm just going to go ahead and print this thing out. And it'll save it as a PDF, and I'll save it to my folder. And then what I'm going to do is send this over to my client via email and ask him if he would like to make any changes. And if not, then I will move on to the next step and show him maybe the mechanicals, get the lighting and all that stuff in. So in the next video, when I go live again, I'll have talked to the client and I'll tell you what is next. Okay, thank you for watching. If you would like more information, please join my Facebook group called Starting a Drafting Business. Inside that group, I share tips and tricks on how to get your own drafting business started. I also have some tutorials like this one about how to use TurboCAD. So I look forward to seeing you in the group, and I'll catch you next time.